Welcome. Unity of New Braunfels is a spiritual community committed to our awakening to our Christ consciousness. And I am Reverend Gary Kanye, and this is Maggie Alderman, our ministerial intern, and Maggie's going to lead us in the gathering prayer.
Good morning. I invite you to take a deep breath and settle into your seats. As we continue to breathe, we become present in this now moment. If you haven't already done so, you might want to close your outer eyes as we connect with that indwelling spirit, the living, loving spirit through which we move and have our being. I was reminded this week just how human I am. And then I was reminded just how spiritual I am. And it is true that we are both human and spirits, and we are on this joint journey together. And as I started to take myself so seriously, I was reminded that God has a sense of humor. So while I can invoke all of the 12 powers, we have at our disposal love, wisdom, creativity, zeal, renunciation. I invite you to open your hearts at the idea of a 13th power, the power of humor. And as you think about all that humor does to heal the soul and lighten your step, allow a smile to spread across your face. Because nothing is too hard, nothing is too important, too sad, too heavy, and most definitely not too serious to just laugh. Laugh, the God laugh that rests in our bellies and moves energy that feels stagnant. And affirm that it's okay, that we are funny, that we are humor, that life is humorous. And I gladly embrace the wild ride and the fun playground. I see my life through God's eyes, and I laugh today. And I am grateful. And so it is. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Maggie. And as we enter this potential of singing, let's stand if we're able and let's sing our worship song. This is the day.
This is the day. This is the day that the Lord has made. That the Lord has made. We will rejoice. We will rejoice and be glad in it. And be glad in it. This is the day that the Lord has made. We will rejoice and be glad in it. This is the day. This is the day that the Lord has made.
Beautiful. I love that. And as we love our live stream viewers, let's turn around, give them a wave, a howdy. We love that you've joined us. Our 11 o'clock service is live stream all over the place. And we have more and more people who are signing in and watching us. And we are blessed by your presence. Unity and I are grateful you're here. And if you could see the beautiful vision I'm seeing, you'd know that you're in the right place at the right time right now. And if you have your cell phone with you, if you have your smartphone with you, if you have something that beeps and squawks and reminds you need to do some exercise or stand, or your mother just called, just put it in silence. They'll get their message as we get ours. Unity is a spiritual community that fosters personal transformation for healing, for wholeness, and for an intimate connection with the divine. We do this through affirmative prayer and meditation that opens us to realize our oneness with God. Now we honor the light that lives in all religious and spiritual traditions. For the light shining through every stained glass window, through every mosque dome, through every temple, cathedral, chapel, or church tent is the very same light shining in us. And we typically call that light God. Now we know that what we experience is based on what we say, what we believe. And when we say what we believe with conviction, or what I like to say, with gusto, where we take a breath and say it with conviction, it ignites a powerful force of creativity throughout the universe. So let's say this great truth together. There is only one presence, one power, active in my life and in the universe, God the good, omnipotent. And so it is. And I'd like to now invite up one of our board members, Tom Ricks, who's going to guide us in the daily word. Thank you.
Good morning, Jerry. Good morning, all. So today's daily word is forgives. A short note. When I first came here, they said whenever a train passes by, the early people said, there goes a thought. And every time I hear a train, I go, wow, there goes another thought. So here's your thought for today, forgive. As I forgive, I know the fullness of divine love. God's love flows freely to all who will receive it. Only as I forgive, however, can I fully experience God's love. Unity co-founder Myrtle Fillmore wrote, forgiveness is the art of putting something else in the place of something forgiven. Wait a minute, of the thing forgiven, you're putting something in that place. That something else is a positive realization of divine love. When I discover a thought arising about myself or possibly somebody else, what I do is I need not condone back up. I'm going to say it originally like I did before. When I discover a thought arising about myself or what I was wanting to say, a president, what I do is I do not condone what was done, left. I only need to release the thought and focus on the eternal truth that every person is in the image and likeness of God. Regardless of what they may have done or failed to do, even if my new feelings are slow to respond, my act of forgiveness is complete. And with that, if you'll say this together, as I forgive, I know the fullness of divine love. And part of our vision, if we'll say this one together, the vision for this church, if we'll say this together, please. A world powerfully transformed
Through the growing movement of shared spiritual awakening. This is a beautiful vision, and the way we'll arrive here is by doing our mission. Together, acknowledging the divinity within, we welcome and empower all through fellowship, education, and service to our community and the world.
And our core value today, for me or for you, is empowering. So I'm empowered with the energy of strength of spirit. But the part that I enjoy about this whole process is that all week long I got to think about how I felt empowered. And so one of the things is that as I'm packing to leave to go to France on Saturday to paint for 3 weeks, I am feeling the power of creativity as I pack those art supplies. The other thing is at 8 o'clock in the morning when I call in to the prosperity prayer, after that call and during that call, I feel empowered. And the other part is on Wednesday night, I've joined a spirit group and I'm loving that connection and the empowerment I'm feeling every morning as we state our gratitude. The other thing is, even as I practiced forgiveness all week long because I was realizing I was going to read the word, and even as I stumbled and I said I'm willing to acknowledge that that's a struggle and then to back up and say it in another form, that is empowering to me. The other thing is Maggie sent me a paper about Lent, and I enjoyed reading it, but I was also empowered when I took parts of it and began to use it in my morning prayer practice. And I don't know if anybody knows me, but even when I wear what I call my special shirts, it reminds me And it's very empowering for me because at one point, someone bought a really nice painting of mine, and I have a person make a shirt for me every time I sell one of these magical paintings. And so even as I sit here at this moment, I'm going, I'm putting on my empowering shirt. So that's how I feel. So now if we'll say this together, please. I am empowered with the energy and strength of spirit. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. Yeah. And now we have this opportunity to receive this gift, this music with the Unity Singers, The Power of One by Ron Gretzky.
Do I understand the reason that I've come here for? Or am I just reaching in the dark? Now I'm headed this way, and now I'm headed that. Pick a card, any card. There are those among us who have come to show the way. This is not a magic trick at all. When I put my every move into the hands of the one, there is no way I can fall. Give yourself away, loosen up the ties that bind. Give yourself away, seek the truth and you shall find. Let go, let go. Let go, let go. Surrender to the power of the one. Surrender to the power of the one. I allow myself to move into the sacred heart, shine the light of 1,000 suns. For there's no such thing as good or bad that can hold me back. No obstacles when everything is won. So let me be among those who have come to show the way. The way of Christ is held within us all. Let me not doubt the truth of who I really am. Let me answer the call. Give yourself away, loosen up the ties that bind. Give yourself away.
Beautiful. Thank you. I'd like to invite up Deb Thomas, who has an announcement about one of our founders.
Good morning. I don't know, there are some people in here who remember Bruno Schwab.
Bruno Schwab was our original board chairman here. Quite a character, quite a dresser. I see Bill laughing back there. It was an interesting time in our church, and Bruno made it more interesting. He passed away recently, so on March 7th at 11 o'clock, there's a service for him at Deppenschmidt, and Candace Donato and I thought that maybe if people from here would like to attend, then maybe we could all go to the Oyster Bar afterward and have lunch and just share some memories of Bruno. Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you very much, Deb. Well, we like to start with a gratitude, and let's offer our gratitude and love to Leslie Woods, assistant minister who has served in youth and family ministry for 30 years. That 30 years service looks really good on Leslie. Our snapshot is on the front of your bulletin. So this is where we are over the past month, our income, expenses, our balance in the prudent reserve. We did very well last week. In our leap year match fund, we started with $5,200 that would be matched again. Well, we raised $4,277 last week. Beautiful. So when that got attached to the match fund, that became $8,554. I love that. Leaving $923 for this week. Well, then we got a $5,000 more in donation. So now our leap year match fund for this week is $5,923. It's spectacular. So we've moved the date another week. So every donation that comes into the church until Sunday, March 1st, matched dollar for dollar up against the $5,923. And you can offer your donation in the operating fund. You can give it to Youth and Family Ministry. We won't do a separate collection from the Prudent Reserve. But of course, if you want to give to the Prudent Reserve, you can give it, mark it Prudent Reserve, and it'll get double. So whatever you give between now and March 1st will get matched dollar for $5,923. So, in a nutshell, with the success of our leap year match fund, we will bring in $20,400. Oh, I just love that. So, let's raise the bar. Okay. I don't know how many of you have joined on this amazing journey with the little purple bracelet, which I can no longer wear on my wrist because it was just eating me up. But I've got a silver bracelet here that's doing the trick, and I might accessorize with something else later. But this is a consciousness shifter. If you don't have this wonderful gift, the purple bracelet, they're out on the welcome table. It's the practice of going through life and not speaking words of complaint, whining, judging, criticizing, gossiping, all those shadow things, or maybe it's just news you gotta share. If you don't do that, you don't change to the other wrist. I am very amazed to share with you, I am on day 8. I feel a little trembling inside my soul because I've been day 1 all lot. In fact, about 10 days ago, I had day 1 3 times in the same day. So it's back and forth. Okay. It's important to remember the motto. There's no shame in day 1. Let's say it together. There's no shame in day 1. And so it is. We're having a complaint-free life. Nomination team is working to receive your interest, your call to serve on the board. You can see Bill Barber, Sharon Lavette, or Tom Rex. He's right here. There's 2 red folders in the sword on the table just to the right with application, the qualification sheet to serve on the board. I have to tell you, then, when I first came to Unity, the first thing I did was become greeter. I got to know everybody. And when I got to know everybody, I wanted to serve at a greater level. And so I ran for the board. And I got to tell you, that board service did so much for my confidence, for my knowing my truth, for my creativity. So if you have the desire to serve on the board, please consider that. Unity continues to do great work in putting out these booklets. And this is the Lenten booklet for 2020. It's called Fasting and Feasting, a Spiritual Practice for Lent. There are a slew of them on the welcome table. Please take one and use it. Lent does start on Wednesday, the 26th. Now, those of you who may have decided to do the Daniel fast, by no means is this a requirement, but I'm going to do the Daniel fast throughout the Lenten season, starting with Wednesday the 26th and going till Easter Sunday the 12th. Now, changing your diet in this way, I would suggest that if you're facing any medical issues, you check with your doctor first before doing that. It's outlined in your bulletin, and also at the welcome table, there's a sheet in the basket that gives some information, the background of the Daniel fast. Now, the Daniel fast basically is a vegan diet. That means fruits and vegetables, whole grains, nuts and seeds, legumes and beans, herbs and spices, only water to drink, or water with lemon or lime or herb tea. No caffeine, no coffee, no alcohol, no sweets, no sugar, no breads, no yeast. It's a way of finding a way to operate in the world on a plant-based diet and aligning with a new way of being. Now, I do know people who've done the Daniel fast and still drank coffee because they just were not going to get rid of their coffee. You can do that. It's an option. If you do the Daniel fast and you have 3 steaks a week and you put a whole bunch of sugar on your pancakes or whatever, it's not exactly the Daniel fast, but you'll find your way. But I encourage you, last week I talked about the spiritual practice of fasting. So decide what your intent will be and then commit to that type of fast. I offer to deepen during this Lenten season your spiritual practice, your time in meditation. I'm going to double my spiritual practice. And we're going to start this Lenten season on Wednesday from 11 to 12 doing a 1-hour meditation here in the sanctuary. Listen and care for your body. The greatest thing you have to do in your life is listen and care for your own body. No one else is going to really do it for you. And journal your insights, because as we awaken on the spiritual practice, we get insights, we get clarity, we get to know ourselves a little better. And since we have to align with our own spiritual truth as spiritual truth students, it's probably a good idea to keep track of what we're... I don't know how many of you have had the experience of you get a good idea and you don't write it down, and then you spend a whole day thinking about what the good idea was because you can't remember how great it was that you'd never forget because it was such a great idea. Then there, done it. Write it down. So that's that. We have the prosperity prayer call that happens every day. The prayer is in your bulletin. The number is there if you want to call in to the conference call. This is a consciousness shifter. As we focus on whatever we want, that's what we manifest. It's quite true. So at 8 o'clock, I read the prayer on the prayer call, but you don't have to call in. You can just recite the prayer to yourself. Prayer works. And with that, if you would like to pray with the prayer chaplain after the service, please come see Steve Cleverly right here in the front pew. You can bring anything to prayer, and Steve will hold the high watch. It could be a great blessing in your life. It could be a great challenge in your life. It could be I don't know if maybe I want to do a fast, or I don't know, I need prayer. Prayer always works. And that prayer box lives right outside of the Sacred Corner bookstore. That prayer box was donated by the very Bruno Schwab who were celebrating the life of this week. As we do this, we submit our prayers into that box, and we pray over it for 30 days here before we wrap up those prayers and send them on to Silent Unity, where they're continued to pray over. Unity was founded in prayer, and we know that prayer works. Your bulletin is a source for all the things that are happening in Unity, so you can go there or to our website and get those details. And now, this is the time for our congregational song, which is Seek Ye First by Karen Lafferty and David Huff. Please stand if you're able, and we'll sing Seek Ye First.
Seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds from the mouth of God. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Ask and it shall be given unto you. Seek and ye shall find. Knock and the door shall be opened unto you. Hallelujah, hallelujah. Seek ye first the kingdom of God and His righteousness, and all these things shall be added unto you. Hallelujah, hallelujah.
You may be seated. And here we are, the last Sunday of February, the last Sunday of pink and love, and we're focusing on this season of peace and nonviolence that the wonderful Gandhi and King, we observe that their great model is something that we can activate in our lives. And so, as I welcome forward our Unity Chamber readers for this Reader's Theater piece, what we are going to be reading is an adaptation of the wonderful book by Dr. Seuss, Oh, the Places You'll Go. Now, also, we are honoring the very birth of Dr. Seuss, March 2nd, so that's coming up this next week. Now, this is an adaptation of this book by Reverend Scott Kalkstein Grace, with much apologies to Dr. Seuss, because his version is, Oh, the places your ego will go. Your ego will travel with you on this earth and be your companion for worser and worse.
It pretends it's your friend, your bestest amigo. and then it pours on the guilt.
That's
the mark of the ego. It's there to protect you, to help you be strong. So it has to remind you, you've done it all wrong.
You're weak and you're lazy, and you don't have a clue.
That's your drill sergeant ego trying to motivate you.
The ego wants to be all you can be, so it gives you these pep talks all day and for free.
Oh, the
places you'll
go.
And the guilt trips you'll travel as your ego plays judge and bangs on its gavel.
But you always can get some relief from your shame
By projecting it onto the others you'll blame.
For that is the ego at its beastiest best. It nurses its grievances close to its chest.
Republicans.
Liberals.
Your parents.
Your ex.
The world is just teeming with folks to correct.
If only these fools would conform to your ways, you could go on with your life without further delays.
The ego's always finding new gripes to complain about.
Turns molehills into mountains of yikes to complain about.
Sometimes the ego's stuff gets stuffy. You come down with a cold or an ouchie more roughy.
But there's no time to rest, so get up out of bed. If you're just here and now, you won't get ahead.
Your to-do list must buzz like bees when they're busying, filling your days till they're endlessly dizzying.
Oh, the places you'll go and the people you'll see. All through the lenses of what's in it for me.
Because the ego believes there is something it lacks. And until it's found, it won't let you relax.
Perhaps you will find it in the next one you date.
True love at first sight, a soul kind of mate.
The romance is hot till the climate turns cold.
Because when two halves collide, they do not make a whole.
It's great till the love gets obscured by control.
For when two halves collide,
they cannot make a whole.
So the ego moves on, ever constantly striving, addicted to seeking, afraid of arriving.
You're traveling fast at the speed of surviving, with fear in the driver's seat, doing the driving.
Or maybe you're on the fast track of success.
You're constantly driven to be great, better, best.
You're a mover, a shaker, a big-time achiever.
You're a real self-made man.
Or a dazzling diva.
You're rich and you're famous, and you make quite a splash.
You're on top of the world and rolling in cash.
You drive the right car.
You've married the right spouse.
Today, lunch with Oprah.
Tomorrow, the White House.
But at night, insecurity pays you a call, because you know at any time you could lose it all.
Your shrink says to rest.
Your spouse sure agrees.
Your doctor says ulcers.
Take 14 of these.
You know you should slow it down sooner or later, but your foot is glued to the accelerator.
Your ego consoles.
Well, at least you're successful. It's a sign of success to be constantly stressful.
You've made it to prime time and everyone loves you.
But your self-esteem's based on what others think of you.
And opinions can change in a blink of an eye.
Which is why you need meds just to get sleep and get by.
One day when you've failed and succeeded enough, you witness your ego exposed in the buff.
And you realize behind all its protective clothing that the ego is simply a state of self-loathing.
And beyond that, you realize the biggest of deals.
You've
dreamt up
the
the
ego. It's not for real.
For richer, for poorer,
In all kinds of health,
you make a commitment to love yourself.
You release the projections you've placed upon others and find through forgiveness that peace is discovered.
You realize the love that you searched for outside you is what you are made of and can't be denied you.
So let go of your worries, your ironclad will. Put the logs on the fire and learn how to chill.
Your old superstitions have gone up in smoke.
like you can't rest in peace until after you croak.
You no longer fear death, or for that matter, life.
'cause you know that all matters are safe and all right.
While resting in peace, you'll soon be inspired to go out in the world with some newfound desire.
Desires that spring from your heart and your soul, and wherever they take you, you go in there whole.
For the ego is now in the passenger seat. It rolls down the windows and takes in the treats.
There's no need to hurry. You're taking it slow. 'Cause
The journey's as rich as the places you'll go. Where you are going, you don't need to know. 'Cause
The journey's as rich as the places you'll go. The journey's as rich as the places you'll go.
Oh, yes, the ego. Co-founder Charles Fillmore says it in this way: the personal self is the ego around which revolves all the thoughts that bind us to error. Simply put, that personal self, that ego-driving nature, the ego is important. It's there to record what has happened in our past to keep ourselves safe. But it's also the place where we have perception and illusion, where we can be misguided by some untrue thought. On the other hand, we are spiritual beings having a human experience. And with that, we are one with that Christ consciousness, that perfect pattern of being, which lifts us up in our knowledge, in our truth, in our oneness. And so with that, with this, we balance our life moving through them. I believe strongly this truth. The ego's one fearful belief: we are separated from God. By having just that belief, all of our drama, all of our illusion, all of our fear is based on that. When we know there's only one power and presence in the universe, God, in every cell of our being. But we get sidetracked by that. Now, the ego isn't all bad. The ego can have right-mindedness and focus on truth. The ego can also focus on wrong-mindedness and be out of balance. When we center in the truth of God within us, we know that we're always in the right place and right time in that. And, as was said in the Daily Word today by Myrtle Fillmore, when we forgive, it creates a space. And what are we going to fill it with? I suggest we fill it with our Christ consciousness, with God, with the truth of our being. This is true in all spiritual traditions: Hinduism, the Upanishads, that which is the finest essence. This whole world has that as its soul. That is reality. That is the self. That art thou. It all is. It doesn't matter what name we give it. It can be Allah or Jesus or God or divine principle. You name it, whatever works for you. And it's expressed throughout humanity because we are spiritual beings having a human experience. Here in this African traditional, the Susu prayer, Father, Almighty Force, that force which is in everything, come down between us. Fill us until we become like Thee. Until we become like Thee. Isn't it true that an acorn becomes an oak? Isn't it true that a pomegranate seed becomes a pomegranate? Well, it's also true that the seed of God becomes God. And that's what's in us. And it's in us as this, in Buddhism, the Mahaparinirvana Sutra. Every being has the Buddha nature. This is the self. This is that balanced self. The self that is unchanging and always present. In Islam, in the Quran, it said, I have breathed into man my spirit. The breath of God moves through us. And it's that presence that guides us, that renews us, that awakens us, and gives us what we need to navigate through the challenges that happen in our life. Is anyone here free of challenge? I'd love to meet someone who's free of challenge. It's our shared journey. And we can do it better with others. But the journey in truth is our own. Because only we can know the truth of our being. Someone else knowing that for us doesn't change our behavior. I would suggest that we have a God positioning system. That our GPS is a God positioning system that can guide us through all of life's journey. Martha Smock is a wise woman, and I go to her for wisdom many times. She was the head of Daily Word for many years. Something finer, something greater, something higher. This is what Christ in you, your God self, always calls you to be and to express. We are called to live our lives in truth as we believe it. This is why if we set our beliefs on our ego will lead us in all kinds of places. When we set our intention and belief on what is unchanging, then isn't our life full of creativity? Isn't our life filled with healing? Isn't our life filled with untold joy? I have a daily plan. This is how I'm concluding my talk. It's a way of approaching our life. In the morning and in the evening, read a little. Read something that inspires you. It can be daily word. It might be a cookbook. It might be science of mind. It might be scripture. Read a little and meditate in the morning and the evening. And then, throughout the day, practice total forgiveness. That means forgiving yourself 100% and forgiving everyone else 100%. And after we've done that forgiveness, we create space. So think about God all through the day. What we focus on, we become. So if we want shimmering presence, if we want absolute abundance, if we want healing and wholeness and serenity, why not focus on that which we want? So, morning and evening, read a little, and then spend some time in meditation. Through the day, total forgiveness. And then think about God. Create a space and fill it. So let's take this time right now to create a little space and fill it in this time of meditation.
Shanti Shanti Om Shanti Shanti Shanti
Shanti, Shanti, Shanti. Om Shanti, Shanti, Shanti.
As we come into this moment of peace, we set down everything that's happened before this moment. What's past is past. What is to be later today or in the future, we let it be in the future. And we realize that at any time we can come right here to this place. Breathing easy and centering in to the moment. Peace, be still. Peace, be still. Peace, be still. Turning within, we connect with the deep indwelling spirit within us as we listen to that still small voice now in the silence. It is in meditation that we open ourselves to our oneness, always available to us. So let's bring into our awareness in the room whatever we've received in this time in meditation. And let's take it wherever we go today, because that truth is ours. So as we bring our awareness into the room, we might wiggle our fingers or wiggle our toes, roll our shoulders or roll our necks. And then when we're ready, we'll open our eyes and we'll say this affirmation that goes with today's talk. Together, releasing all fear and doubt, I am one with my Christ nature. And so it is. And we've continued with this offering. We are in alignment with the disciples when they went to the master teacher Jesus and said, "Teach us to pray." And so this prayer is a direct translation from Jesus' native tongue of Aramaic into English, as we say together, "Father, Mother, birther and breath of all, create a space inside us and fill it with your presence. Let oneness now prevail. Your one desire flows through ours as energy fills all forms. Give us this day our physical and spiritual nourishment. Untangle the knots of error that bind us as we release others. Don't let appearances make us forgetful of the source, but free us to act appropriately. For age to age, from you comes the glorious harmony of life. May these words be fertile ground from which our future grows. Amen. And now, for our congregational song, the Millennium Prayer, please stand if you're able, and we'll sing this beautiful song by Cliff Richard.
Beloved one who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive our errors as we forgive each other, and so forgive ourselves. And leave us not in times of trial, but deliver us from fear. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory. Let all the people say amen, in every tribe and tongue. Let every soul in song rejoice to see the kingdom come. Let every hope and every dream be born in us again. Let all the world sing with one voice. Let the people say amen. Let all the people say amen. In every tribe and tongue, let every soul in song rejoice to see the kingdom come. Let every hope and every dream be born in us again. Let all the world sing with one voice. Let the people say amen. Amen, amen, amen. Amen, amen, amen. Amen, amen, amen. Amen, amen, amen.
Thank you. You may be seated. If that's the first time you've heard that rousing course, you might be visiting us for the first time. Is there anyone visiting us for the first time? If you'd stand, we'd like to get to know you. I think we're all here together as one. Beautiful, beautiful. So this is our time for our love offering. And what we give is what we receive. So if you're going to give a tithe or an offering or a donation, know that it will be matched 100% dollar for dollar. That's a blessing. If what you're going to give is your gratitude, or maybe you're going to bring forward your prayer for this community and this world. Maybe you're going to bring forth your humor. Let's fill that copper bowl with that blessing. But before we do that, let's set the intention on our heart as we say this offering blessing affirmation together. Divine love now fulfills my every good desire. I rejoice in my happy, prosperous life right now. And so for the walk of abundance, let's come forward. Let's fill the copper bowl with all of our intentions, our love offerings, our tithes, our gratitude, our prayer, and our humor. And then from the wooden bowl, let's take an affirmation for ourselves, for a loved one. Let's celebrate with the walk of abundance.
So let's just take a moment and put our focus and energy into blessing these gifts and the givers and appreciating their vision, the vision and the effervescence, the expressive life that is in this community, pouring out in the spirit of abundance, living and affirming we live as abundance. And we let this go to do God's good work wherever and however it shall be done. And we are grateful. Amen. And as we look at this prayer box, we're reminded of Bruno and our founders that had the vision to hold and bring together through energy and fortitude and faith this divine place, this sacred community. And this is a box that he donated, and we are grateful for his vision, for the spirit and the life that went ahead before us to prepare this sacred room. So just for a moment, hold Bruno, his energy and light in your heart. And we wish you well, my friend. And over the prayers here, we know that the answer in every thought, every worry, every celebration is always yes. So whatever is held in this sacred container, we know the answer is yes. And we relax, we breathe, we smile, and we let go and let God, knowing that the divine path is unfolding and we are on it, and it is good. Amen.
Thank you, Maggie. And now this special offering to Unity Singers, Being by Rod Gretzky.
I could climb the highest mountain to find the beauty that I see, or I could soar upon your wisdom, get higher than the mountain's peak. There's more than doing this, it's stillness moving, there's slow down the changing pictures, feel the quiet space between. The truth is found within them, into the Orion's dream. The worldly life is fed by doing, but that can take us just so far. We take time to feed the body. Let's take time to feed the heart. There's more than doing this. It's stillness moving this. Slow down the changing pictures, feel the quiet space between. The truth is found within them, into Orion's dream.
You think just because you're sitting out there that you can't come up in here, but I see three of my people. We had we had low attendance back there. In fact, like one per class. And some of the things that we were doing needed more than one person. So, Zeta, would you come up, and Jack, would you come up and come sit with me up here on the rug? Come on, Miss Lennox. Why you? Because you're not 18 yet. "30 years right here." So I want to talk to you guys a little bit more about ego.